Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about grants for sustainable cities, specific to the city of Marshall, Illinois. The agenda today, I'm gonna introduce myself, have an introduction to sustainable cities, talk about sourcing of grant funding, talk about the process of grant writing, how to utilize those funds, how to administer that grant, addressing some local issues, and then we're going to conclude today's presentation. Beginning in 2016, I embarked on a career as a 911 professional. I rapidly progressed up through the ranks in the proactive pursuit of training, acquiring active emergency dispatcher certifications across medical, fire, and police domains. I hold quality assurance certifications and instructor credentials, and my expertise spans emergency services and organizational leadership. My specific fervent aspiration lies in driving the 911 industry's evolution, particularly for the dispatchers, and I envision nationwide transformation through advanced professional training while fueling positive change in the emergency service industry. So in order to do that, I realized that I needed to complete my degree. And so I obtained my Bachelor of Science from Indiana State University, and I'm currently working towards my Master of Public Administration. There's a list here of various certifications that I hold and some additional skills that I possess, including emergency and project management and project development and implementation. And I realize now that I didn't introduce myself, but my name is Rebecca Connors, and I am the Operations Manager and a 911 professional at Charlottesville UVA Albemarle 911 Center in Charlottesville, Virginia. I am, however, a Hoosier at heart, born and raised in Indiana, not too far from Marshall, Illinois. So again, today we're going to be talking about sustainable cities. And first I wanted to indicate what a sustainable city was. So a sustainable city is an urban center engineered just to improve its environmental impact through urban planning, development, and management. For this type of city, you could picture cities with parks, green spaces, solar-powered buildings, rooftop gardens, or lots of gardens, and specifically more pedestrians and cyclists than cars. And so this, however, it's not a futuristic dream. There are cities, smart cities, actively moving towards greener urban ecosystems and better environmental stewardships. And so some ways that we can do that and have an improved environmental impact could include solar power. It could include green spaces and technology. Again, use of gardens, maybe even a community garden. And some big things would be improved water sources, improved water conservation, and improved waste management, specifically reducing waste and reducing pollution. So all of those things take money. They take funding to accomplish and funding to acquire the right resources. And so for these general issues in sustainable city development, there are a variety of grant sources available. Federal agencies such as the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, often offer grants focused specifically on environmental protection, urban development, and sustainability. There are also state-level grants, which can be significant as state governments frequently allocate funds for improved projects specific to local government or local cities, towns, those types of things. So in addition to these federal and state grants, there are non-governmental organizations and private foundations like the Ford Foundation or the Rockefeller Foundation who provide grants for a wide range of urban development initiatives. And these sources become invaluable for cities such as Marshall looking to implement broad, impact-driven projects. So when we're talking about grant writing or how to obtain a grant or what that process might look like, the first thing we need to do is identify the need for funding. And so identifying the need for funding, in my opinion, is the easiest part of the process. There are often many needs for funding. We can quickly decide and identify what we need money for and where we want to spend it, or sometimes how we want to spend it. So identifying the need for funding is typically left out of the grant writing process. However, the grant writing process generally involves several key steps. And so initially it's essential to conduct thorough research to identify potential grants that might align with the project's objectives. Once these suitable grants are identified, the next step is to understand the grant giver, their requirements and guidelines. This is often followed by the actual grant writing process, which includes crafting a compelling narrative, developing a clear project plan, and preparing a detailed budget. The application should then articulate how that project aligns with the grantor's goals, demonstrate the project's feasibility, and outline expected outcomes. So in this, there are some key elements, and this being successful or having a successful process hinges on a few critical elements. We want to be clear, concise. This clarity and conciseness in proposals are paramount. It helps convey the project's goals effectively, and the proposal should also establish the credibility of the applicant. So in this case would be Marshall, Illinois. And we want to demonstrate the capacities to successfully execute the project. So strong alignment between project goals and the grantor's objectives are going to be essential in securing that funding. This will include measurable outcomes and a robust evaluation plan, and those things can significantly enhance your proposal's appeal. So when we're looking at this chart that I've placed here, what I want to really indicate is that there's two parts, general main parts to grant writing. First, you have the pre-award. The pre-award includes identifying funding, writing the proposal, developing the budget. It includes compiling proposal documents, submitting the proposal, negotiating the award, and executing the contract. And then we move into the other main part, and that is the post-award. So that post-award is going to be tracking your expenditures, managing the timeline, reporting back on the progress of the project, reconciling any expenses, reporting those outcomes, and then of course we start again. So when we're looking at these funds, once we've secured them, we can utilize these funds in various ways to support sustainable city initiatives. This can include funding for infrastructure projects like public transportation systems or green building development. Grants can also support community programs, research and development in sustainable technologies, or even public awareness campaigns. Effective use of these funds not only implementing the projects, but also ensuring they have a lasting impact on the community. Part of that process is effective budgeting. So effective budgeting and project planning become critical when using grant funding. A detailed budget should be prepared outlining all the costs associated with the project. This should include both direct and indirect expenses. And project planning should involve setting realistic timelines, defining clear milestones, not only clear but measurable milestones, and establish procedures for monitoring and evaluation. So how well did we obtain or reach these goals, these milestones? Were we able to successfully complete them? Are we on track for completion of the project? All of this ensures that the project stays on track and within budget. And so when we're administering these grants, we're looking at careful management of funds, again, adhering to reporting requirements, ensuring compliance within grant conditions. Regular financial reporting is usually required to account for how funds are being used. It's not like you can just get grant funding and spend it wherever you think it's best. You must detail how these funds are being used, often why they're being used. And so it's important to maintain open communication with the grantor, providing those project updates on the progress, and of course any challenges that you might have encountered along the way. This transparency builds trust and can lead to further funding opportunities in the future. So I want to tie that into addressing local issues. And so this project is specific to the city of Marshall, Illinois. And so I want to talk about how we can effectively use grants to address challenges. And so I want to start with noting that it's crucial to align the projects with specific needs of the community. So every community is going to be different. It's going to change based on, the state they're in, the county they're in, what kind of funding they do or don't have, how populated it is. But all of this involves engaging with the community members. It takes understanding their concerns, developing solutions that are both sustainable and impactful. It takes monitoring and evaluating the project's impact. It provides insights to the project's effectiveness and informs future initiatives. This type of approach will ensure that the grant funding not only addresses immediate issues, but contributes to the long-term well-being of the city. And so I have your comprehensive plan. I took a snapshot of it. And some things came back as 4 things that the community would like to see improved because they believe that it would improve the quality of life in the city of Marshall. And so just for expansion, being able to see these things, the first thing that folks wanted to see was an improvement in recreational facilities. They want to be able to get out, they want to be able to have recreation. They want to see an improvement in these facilities or addition of these facilities. Some other things they wanted to see was a decrease in taxes and fees. I recognize that's not always possible, folks, but it is what people want. The people want that. If there's a way to do that, that would be excellent. I'm not sure that you'll find a grant specific to that. They want to see increased employment opportunities. So maybe building a recreational facility or improving a recreational facility, expanding it, that might create employment or additional employment opportunities within the city of Marshall. And then the last 2 things they tied, it was improve bike and pedestrian facilities and then expand retail shopping options. So again, that's something that would increase employment opportunities within the city. This strategic plan will help you through, or your comprehensive plan will help you through your grant writing process. And the reason for that is it will help you focus on knowing the concern, addressing the concern, financing the solution, and then encouraging diversity, affecting change, and pursuing development. So again, we know the concern, we have to address it. How do we address it? We're going to have to finance it. We're going to have to finance that solution. We're going to have to encourage our community to be diverse and inclusive of others. And then as city managers, we can affect this change by pursuing development. So in conclusion here, or we're getting ready to wrap up, I just want to remind you that effective sourcing and management of grants is an integral part to driving sustainable development in cities like Marshall. Identifying the right grant source, whether general or specific, sets the foundation for impactful projects. The grant writing process, while it is meticulous, offers significant opportunity for city managers or grant writers to articulate clear, feasible, and innovative solutions to your current challenges. And then proper utilization of these funds, being underpinned by thoughtful budgeting and project planning, is going to be essential to ensure that the objectives of both the grantee and the grantor are met. Also, to help your community members feel included and heard along the way. So administration of these grants, again, it requires commitment from you. It requires a large commitment to transparency and compliance and ongoing communication with funders. It's a large commitment. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. It is so worth it. All of this communication, this transparency, the compliance, it ensures the success of current projects, but it builds a reputation that can facilitate future grant opportunities. The effective use of grant funds to address city problems must be rooted in a deep understanding of the community's needs, ensuring that these projects are not only environmentally sustainable, but also socially inclusive and economically beneficial. In essence, we need to continue to focus on solutions. How do we fix? How do we get better? How do we solve? Ultimately, skillful navigation of the grant process from all the way from sourcing to administration can lead to transformative changes in your environment. And by leveraging resources in cities, and leveraging these resources from federal funding, state funding, but in cities like Marshall, we can implement solutions that enhance people's quality of life, promotes environmental sustainability, and then paves the way for a resilient and prosperous future. So again, my name is Rebecca Connors. I am the operations manager at CUA 911 in Charlottesville, Virginia. I've put my school email here. I've also put my work email down. I've attached some references here. If you would like to talk more with me specifically about your project or projects that you'd like to see, I would be happy to help you research, help talk about it. But these things are so important, and I would really like to see the city of Marshall have success. Thanks again for watching, and if there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out.